talking about in these notes with the old owner of this body, who's human, left in the neurons they departed, has to do with a systemic problem different than a landlord locking an apartment door after a bedbug check with their eyes. Faster than a lightning flash in the sky, and louder than a thunder bang during a monsoon storm in Arizona. These are two separate examples. However, much different in their distraction now. What's so difficult with a social worker counselor who's a nice human, from what my memories recall a while ago, and a recent graduate of the University of Washington Huskies College. But personality and kindness with body have very little relevance to a person's life. They, in some sense, have control and dominance over considering Social Security disability requirements, organizational requirements they don't explicitly divulge. And in the future, when I can't find work and there's no economics, and Social Security comes to ask them what I've been doing, and they have no notes, they have no records, other than he disappeared. And I go to more appointments, and I go to more interviews, and I go to more testing and exams by psychiatrists to undo what's been done. And tragically, what's been decided. There was never a compassionate indication, I'm okay for a little while without a social worker counselor visit, phone call, appointment. And what's most terrifying about the lack of care for a patient and client who pays their money regardless of where it comes from and from what bank account and what government fund those dollars and cents were allocated from now. Mostly for the right to be a human in the United States of America and not an identified disability insurance card carrying paycheck for their property and for their services they provide, funded by what I receive each month in free money. I partly earned when I worked for over 10 years and graduated college and did what I could in a world where there's Capitol Hill in Seattle, there's no more downtown, and only graffiti and only broken windows and only rooms and closets to rent on Craigslist with ads saying, well, rent's only $1. and out in Kenmore, where I'd ride a bus every day, work 3 jobs, 2 jobs if I'm lucky or fortunate enough, culturally, spiritually, and mentally in this system and processes called psychiatry, psychology, climate change, and nowhere to live except a waiting list for social housing units. 1,000 people wait on, and only 100 are available now. The most disrupting lack of compassion now causes more confusion, misdirection. During a coronavirus pandemic, and no matter how many calls I made, I never received a return phone call. No matter who I talked to, they always give similar instructions to go talk to a supervisor who now has a different name I've never met in person. And an eventual, last and final conclusion, in films with suspenseful and thrilling music, a requirement for me during a coronavirus pandemic getting worse and requiring more vigilance, they say on the news now, locally. With variants from the UK, mutations causing more infections and deadlier outcomes for patients now. Has to do with a patient client with this mental health organization, having to go down to a treatment center where Black Lives Matters. In South Seattle, where there's a mystery, a duality involving those who are white racists, supremacists, who often are targeted when they wear camouflage in a United States of America hat. They burn in protest and activism now. And regardless of these circumstances, the decision made by an organization to ignore a problem they could have solved with compassion now requires me, a human in this body who is and will be for the near future human, forced to go down to their facility on a long bus ride, not knowing if a social worker counselor named Sarah will be there and available, and most importantly of all, who I'll have to be ready to talk to and explain how I'm feeling to, what I've been doing to, and how they can help me with my problems, with what's happened I'm describing now. And then afterwards, another long bus ride home, tired, exhausted, undoubtedly. And a possibility I could fail and have to go back again and again to eliminate a distraction, confusion, misdirection caused by a decision to allow a problem to observe a behavior to modify later in a therapy appointment called Mental Health 2021. Psychology, psychiatry. Now,